So I see some people are getting back online after that little hiccup. Hopefully, I'll let that number sort of tick up a little bit, give people a chance to get back in, and then we'll begin. So, as I think most of you just saw, I am getting used to some new tech during this time, and it's not all, it doesn't always go smoothly, and I'm sure everyone can relate during these times. So, if this stream stops again, I may just need a moment to get things back up and running, and if that doesn't work, please watch your inbox because I'll send information for an alternate time and date when the tech issues are all resolved. Just a quick check. Can everyone hear me? Can someone drop something in the live chat to let me know that I'm coming in clear? And I don't see anything yet. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so there's just a bit of delay. So let's get started. Thank you so much for your patience once again. My name's Jacqueline Demendive, and you're going to hear a lot from me today. Um, Thanks so much for coming to the premiere session of Growing Your Workforce Live. Feel free to drop a hello in the chat and to say where you're from and to log into your Google account to participate. These sessions are meant to be short and portable, and the intention is to spark conversation and innovation on local workforce issues. So here's how it's going to go. In a few moments, you're all going to be the first to hear a pre-recorded presentation. It's about 10 minutes, and there are a few slides that'll go with them on the screen. It's a pre-recorded episode, as I said, so I won't be able to respond to questions as it's playing, but I will do my best to be in the live chat on the side of your screen or at the bottom if you're on mobile to be participating in the conversation and address any questions that you might have. After the presentation, I'm going to come back on live and provide some additional news and updates to speak to any questions or anything else that needs to be highlighted. The neat thing about this format is that after the show, if you go to workforcedevelopment.ca/blog, that's our website, or you can go to the homepage and check out the blog tab on top, you'll be able to download a podcast version of the presentation that you can listen to on the go, or you can share with coworkers and friends. And there will be one of these episodes for each of the Growing Your Workforce live events. So with that, let's get started. Hi, my name is Jacqueline Demendive, and I'm the Communications Manager for the Workforce Planning and Development Board of Elgin, Middlesex, and Oxford. I'm also the editor of the former Growing Your Workforce publication. Growing Your Workforce was an e-magazine which you can still read for free on workforcedevelopment.ca/growingyourworkforce. 15 writers and prominent figures in workforce planning and development volunteered their time to make over 21 articles during its run that made readers think, introduced them to new ideas, and made community connections for the benefit of programs, businesses, education, and job seekers across the province of Ontario. Well, our initial run is over. I'm so excited to be presenting the first part of this Growing Your Workforce Live series. These 25-minute presentations will enlighten and invite you to dive in below the tip of the iceberg on workforce issues. Each live stream is accompanied by a podcast episode you can take with you to learn about workforce issues on the go. In this episode, we're covering what not to assume as things open up after the COVID-19 shutdowns.
As of this Friday, the following regions will be able to enter stage 2. We're making steady progress. And if we keep working together, I'm hopeful that all communities in Ontario will be able to enter stage 2 very, very soon.
That was Ontario Premier Doug Ford speaking about Phase 2 of the COVID-19 pandemic economic reopening. The virus has had a major impact on our lives in many ways, and the impact on today's workforce is equally complex. Today, we're reviewing what the labor market looked like before and what we have to expect in the future. In the London economic region, the state of the labor market before the pandemic was referred to sometimes as a buyer's market, with control being in the hands of the job seekers. Though the situation was improving over the years, the participation rate in 2015, that's people of working age who are participating in the labor market by searching for work, being in school, or being employed, was the second lowest among Southern Ontario's regions compared to the rest of the province. Additionally, there were over 20,000 fewer 25 to 44-year-olds in the area from 2005 to 2015. While there's a lot of factors contributing to that decline, that's in line with the nationwide trend in an aging population, with retirements increasing at an accelerated rate. The struggle for employers to hire is evident locally here in the London economic region. According to the results of our Employer One survey, which was taken from local businesses mere months before the pandemic hit, 58% of employers had positions that were hard to fill, and that number has been consistent across these surveys for a few years. Furthermore, the top 3 reasons these positions were hard to fill were as follows. Number 3, a lack of motivation. Number 2, lack of qualifications. And the number 1 reason, trumping the number 2 spot by over 10%, is not enough applicants. And then the pandemic hit. In February, before the state of emergency orders, the unemployment rate in the region was about 4.4%, lower than the provincial average of 5.4%. Those numbers have skyrocketed, with the provincial unemployment rate shooting up to 10.8% in May, an increase that is reflected locally as well. On top of that, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has extended the CERB benefit, the lifeline of many of these recently unemployed individuals now ordered to stay at home, but moves are being made to decrease or end this support as the year goes on. Of course, we've also all heard of the business closures happening due to months of decreased or no traffic to some closed businesses. So we have more people looking for work and fewer jobs to compete with from less businesses. But does that mean our workforce issues are behind us? The bad news is that we can't assume that scores of people looking for work is the solution to hard-to-fill positions and a lack of applicants. The good news is that there are actions we can take to the benefit of both the businesses who have been hit hard by the closures and to the job seekers who have found themselves in a vulnerable position during the pandemic. The issue here is that those numbers I spoke about before the pandemic are more complex than meets the eye. We remember that the number 1 reason that employers had positions that were hard to fill was because of a lack of applicants, right? But what about the other reasons? Well, employers cited a lack of attitude, a lack of technical skills, and a lack of experience. On top of that, most local employers said that they were concerned about retention, which means they were losing workers. A lot of these issues can be indicative of a skills mismatch. When I say skills mismatch, I don't mean a lack of qualified workers. After all, anywhere between 40 to 50% of jobs require a high school education or less. And the workers who have been laid off by COVID? The Workforce Planning West survey we partnered on conducting found most of our respondents who had found themselves unemployed after March also have a college degree or higher. What I mean is the lack of workplace-ready skills that a lot of employers are looking for. Good communication, timeliness, problem solving, and adaptiveness being just some of the types of skills employers are saying are hard to find. The skills gap isn't something that can be overcome by having more job seekers in the labor market. Additionally, that 10% of unemployed people, some of them are going to return to their old jobs once things reopen, but many might choose to stay out of the labor market for several reasons, like anxiety about going back to work before a vaccine for the virus is developed. Most job postings haven't adapted to include information on how companies are keeping their employees safe, and there isn't necessarily one clear path for each workplace on what safe means. Also, the anxiety of a pandemic can make it hard to return to work with your whole self, and if companies aren't taking that into account, it can have serious damage on their ability to retain employees. Lastly, pandemic or not, that aging population issue isn't going away, and as recovery continues, we'll still see a significant drop-off in the number of available workers. At this point, you're probably wondering, what about that good news I spoke of earlier? There are things we can do as employers and employment service providers to help turn the tables of recovery to be more positive for everyone. I'm going to paraphrase from a report we compiled last year as a result of a conference bringing together scores of professionals from across the workforce sector. There needs to be an awareness of services. Many people with needs have no idea that there is a wealth of existing services available to connect them or their workforce with further skills development. There's also a need to better define skills. Many skills, and sometimes even basic policies, aren't clearly defined in job postings or workplaces. Doing this can help set the mark so job seekers and employers alike know what they're aiming for. Housing and transportation are always some of the most pressing issues related to workforce. What employers and communities can do is invest in incentive programs, assisting employees in purchasing a bus pass, affording a car, or affording rideshare services, and putting housing and transportation first in community planning. And employers need to put employee wellness first. There's many practical steps employers can take to increase employee wellness and improve retention. It's important to maintain and evaluate your health and safety policies right now, and to be proactive in avoiding employee stress. Part of this is encouraging employees to bring their whole self to work. As of right now, the future is uncertain. Will a post-pandemic boom return the labor market to its pre-pandemic rate, or will we have to adapt to a new reality of a job market turned on its head? Either outcome will benefit from increased communication and a focus on attraction, retention, and skills building. What I want to remind you of, above all, no matter what your position in the labor market is, stay safe and stay healthy. I hope you took something away to make you think. You can find all the sources and the links at workforcedevelopment.ca/blog. I'll see you next month for Growing Your Workforce Live. All right, that ends the pre-recorded portion of our presentation today. I have a little bit of extra information to share with you that goes along with that. So I spoke about the uncertainty in what's going to happen and how reopening is going to impact our workforce. And there's quite a few incentives or projects that we're working on to help sort of shed light on those issues. So one of which is Fresher, on which we're a partner. It is a research project from the HEAL lab at Western University. We've partnered with researcher Jason Gilliand to conduct research on the COVID-19 impacts on restaurants, which of course we've heard a lot about, but this gets really granular into local restaurants and finding out how's it impacting not just their business, but also their workforce and their outlooks on the future. They're currently collecting surveys from employers as well as employees and managers in the food retail sector. And you can find more information about that at fresher.theheal.ca. And if you could pass that on to any food businesses or food retail workers that you know of, that would be of massive benefit. Secondly, we are in the proposal stage on a couple projects, one of which is we're partnering with Workforce Planning West to pool our researchers together and take a look at what are all of the possible scenarios that we're looking at, and possibly what's also the likelihood and how do we adapt to those possible scenarios coming out of this. And secondly, another one is about local employer needs. So that's working with very local employers here in the London Economic Region to find out what do they need to get back to full capacity. Are they going to get back to full capacity, and how can the community adapt? So, if you have any questions about anything you heard here, please feel free to drop them in the chat and I'll see if I can get to them and answer them. In the meantime, I will scroll back to my slide. Here you can see the workforcedevelopment.ca/blog URL. That will take you to the blog post with all of the sources from this episode, as well as all the credits. And you can download the podcast episode there or share it with a friend or coworker, and they can have it on the go. So I don't see any questions at the moment, so I think I'll close out. Um, as I said, these sessions are supposed to be quick and sort of inject you with a little bit of interest and inspiration in your day. I hope you'll sign up for the next one. If you have any ideas or any suggestions for further topics, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'm Jacqueline@workforcedevelopment.ca. You can also find our contact information on our website. And thank you so much for coming to this first episode and for sitting through all of the shaky start. And I hope you have an excellent holiday tomorrow. And as I said in the podcast, stay safe, stay well.